Hi, and thanks for joining. If you're new here, I'm Wendy, and this is Nina's Jewels. My husband and I buy things at garage sales, flea markets, thrift stores, just about anywhere we can find things to sell online and flip for a profit. If that's content you're interested in, you're in the right place. Today's video is going to be what sold for the week of December 10th through 16th. Let's get started. The first thing we sold was 2 bags, 10 total, of black fishing bullet weights. We got these at an estate sale. I believe that they were in a fishing box, like a tackle box of a bunch of different fishing items that we got. We actually threw the tackle box away because it had a big crack in it, but we have sold several of the fishing lures and baits and things like that from that. And this was in there. We sold this for $8 total on best offer, and we had paid just 36 cents for that. Next up was a Build-A-Bear workshop. Brand new with tags, orange and black stuffed tiger cub plush item. We got this at a thrift store. We paid $2.16 for that, and it sold on our full asking price of $27.19. We did have a plush promotion running in December, so the buyer did apply that or have that discount applied. Next up was a Lego Hidden Side Graveyard Mystery. It was just the instruction manual only. We got this in the Goodwill bins. We paid 61 cents for that, and it sold for our full asking price of $9.99. We always pick up any kind of Lego branded manuals if we see them. We usually find them like in the Goodwill bins or something like that. It would be unusual for us to find that at a garage sale or something, but if we did see them somewhere like that, we would pick them up. Next up was a 2-pack of plastic. They did not appear to be OEM. We did not list them as OEM, but they were center wheel hubcaps. They were plastic, and they were made to go on like a Toyota Sequoia or Tundra, and they appeared to be brand new, never used. They were still like wrapped in the plastic and everything, not taken out. We got these at an estate sale. I don't know exactly how much we paid for them because we didn't write it down. We've got it on video, and I've got to find that video and like dig it out and figure out exactly how much we paid for them. It would not be much because this was a very reasonable realtor run estate sale. So we probably paid, like, I would guess around $2 to $3 for these. And these sold for $25 even on best offer. Next up was, the brand was Kavu, K-A-V-U, and it was an ivory small backpack, like a hiking backpack, a crossbody canvas sling style backpack, and it had a really cool print. It was, the name of the pattern was called Mythical Creature. It had like Bigfoot on it and then a bunch of other mythical creatures on it, and I can't remember what all the different mythical creatures on it were, but it was an all over print, and it was really cool, and it was in really good condition. This was a very hard to find pattern. We had the only one listed on any platform, but I noticed it had sold several times before on other platforms like Poshmark and Mercari, but I did not see that it had any solds on eBay. So I priced it according to what the solds were, I believe, on Poshmark, and it sold very, very quickly for $49 even on best offer. We had gotten this at a thrift store. We paid $7.57 for it, which is kind of high for us, but because it was such a cool pattern and because we knew that it would sell quickly, we did pay that much for it. Unfortunately, the buyer opened a return on it, and we were pretty surprised by this. It had like 3 small ballpoint pin marks on the inside of it that were very minor. We actually did not even notice it when we were listing it. The outside of it was completely clean, did not have any markings on it, but the buyer complained that we did not disclose that and said that, you know, we misrepresented the item because of that. I actually did not list it in excellent condition. I just said it was pre-owned condition. So, you know, we were nice about it. We just apologized for having missed that, explained that, you know, we occasionally miss items. I didn't argue with the buyer or anything. I never do. We have free returns, so I just said it's no problem. You can return it. We have free returns, and you're welcome to return it. It won't cost you anything. So they said they were going to do that. I have a really bad feeling that they're going to try to leave negative feedback on this, but I do think that eBay will cover us in this instance since we have free returns on this item, but they did open it as a damaged item. which I thought was weird because the item wasn't like damaged in shipment or anything like that. It just had those 3 ballpoint pen marks on it. I just thought they were a little bit dramatic about it, but that's my opinion. You know, in their perspective, maybe it was not what they expected. So, you know, I try to be patient with buyers in situations like that. But I did actually feel like that we had undersold this item a little bit, so we will try to clean off those ballpoint pen marks when we get this item back. And I'm actually going to list it for significantly higher the second time because I do think we can get more for it. So we'll just make the best of that. Next up was one of those 26-inch gold chain hip hop hemp necklaces. I believe this was the very last one. We sold out of those so fast. And this one sold for a full asking price of $8.99. We had picked that up at a garage sale for 42 cents. And this one sold for our asking price, and we got positive feedback on that. Next up was a genuine OEM DirecTV remote control. We got this in a big bag of remotes at the thrift store. It sold for $8.99, which was our full asking price, and we had paid $1.08 for that. Next up was a 2016 Mattel Barbie Chelsea Club 6-inch boy doll. I got this at a garage sale. I paid just 50 cents for it. It appeared to be almost brand new, never played with, but it was out of the package, so I did list it as used. It sold for our full asking price very, very quickly for $12.99. Next up was a Wilton Cookie Pro stainless steel cookie press. Like I mentioned in our last What Sold video, cookie presses always sell almost immediately for us. This one was no exception. This one did take a little bit longer than some of the other ones to sell. I don't know that Wilton is as popular of a brand of cookie presses as some of the other ones are, but this one sold quickly even so. This one we paid $4 for at a garage sale, and it sold for $24.99. Next up was an Undertale Sans Anime 7-inch plush doll. I picked this up at a garage sale. I paid $3 for it. I did not realize when I picked it up that it was missing the hoodie. Unfortunately, that did make it not as valuable as I thought it was going to be. I had paid $3 for this. It did sell on best offer for only $10, so there was very little profit in that for us. But if you do ever see any of these and they have their hoodie with them, I do think they'll sell for more, and that might have made it worth paying $3 for. Next up was a Paw Patrol Ultimate Rescue Marshall's Deluxe Fire Truck Replacement. This we got in a thrift store toy bag. We paid 18 cents for that, and it sold on best offer for $10 even. Next up was a vintage Disney Gund 100 acre wood 10.5-inch plush stuffed Winnie the Pooh rabbit toy. We got this in the Goodwill bins when we were playing Bins Bingo. We paid $1.18 for it, and it sold on offer to buyer for $17.98. We did do this sale through local pickup, so that was very easy and saved us money on shipping because we do offer free shipping. Next up was a 1987 Texas Instruments BA2 Executive Business Analyst Vintage Calculator. This we got at a garage sale for $1. We got this at the same garage sale where we got that Barbie Chelsea doll. That was a really good garage sale. I actually could have spent a lot more time at that garage sale going through items because it was, I think this garage sale took place on a Thursday, and they had a lot of really good stuff, and he was giving me excellent prices, but I needed to be somewhere, and so I was kind of rushing. I did not have time to go through things as carefully as I would have, but that was a really, really good garage sale, and we have sold a lot of stuff from that sale, including this, which sold for $17.98. Like I said, we just paid $1 for it. Next up was another item we got from that same garage sale. This was a Reed & Barton 3.5-inch Winter Sparkle Silver Plate Snowflake Christmas Ornament. This sold for $25 even on best offer, and we had paid just $1 for that at that garage sale. We got positive feedback on that. Next up was another item that we got while we were playing Bins Bingo. This was, I think we listed this on our Bins Bingo card as our weird item. This was a vintage military... Okay, I'm going to destroy this word. Oh my gosh, I'm really going to destroy it. Declitractor. That's my best guess. Declitractor. Map Reading Tool Compass Protractor. And we had paid $1.18 for this, and it sold for $31.98 on offer to buyer, and we got positive feedback on that. That was like a really specific, definitely a weird item, not any type of thing that I've ever seen before. And somebody was intrigued by it, I guess, or looking for it, and it sold very, very quickly. In fact, when we do our B-roll footage, which is going to be coming up, I'd say in the next month or so, on our channel, we are going to have sold more than half of the items that we picked up from that Goodwill Bins Bingo trip, and we spent over $200 on that trip. So we picked up a lot of items. I think we filled up 2 whole carts. That was a very highly successful trip to the Goodwill Bins that day. Next up was an item that we got from a family member to sell, so there was no cost to us. And this was a women's 2XL black lace layered tunic with ruffles, and the brand was Lady Noise. I don't know why I have to say it like that, but it sold very, very fast. I think it was like a boutique brand. But it did not sell for much. Even though it was a boutique brand, it didn't sell for much. It sold for $12.68 on offer to buyer. And like I said, we had no cost involved on that. So thank you so much to the family member who gave that to us. And we got positive feedback on that. Next up was a Douglas brand cuddle toy, 15-inch gold metallic plush dragon. This we got at a garage sale. We paid $1.50 for it, and it sold very quickly for $16.99. Dragon-themed toys or dragon-themed items always sell very quickly for us. I think there's a lot of collectors of dragons out there, so when we see dragon-themed items, we always pick them up, and this was no exception. Next up was a women's Denim and Supply by Ralph Lauren medium boyfriend navy sheer button-up blouse. This we got at a garage sale. We paid just 50 cents for it, and it sold on offer to buyer for $23.98. Next up was a book. It was a vintage book, hardcover book called A Policy on Geometric Design of Highways and Streets. It was from 1984. This we got at our local thrift store. We paid just 51 cents for it, and it sold on our full asking price for $29.99. Next up was another book. This one was a Better Homes and Gardens Junior Cookbook from 1974. This sold for $14.99, which was our full asking price, and we had paid just 67 cents at the Goodwill Bins. If I see junior cookbooks, kids cookbooks, those are very popular and tend to sell very well for us, so I will generally pick those up if they're in good condition. Next up was a lot of 4 Scotch blank 8-tracks. We found these at the thrift store. We paid $4.11 for those, and they sold on offer to buyer for $34.38. They were brand new, sealed. I was surprised that these took a few months to sell. I thought they would sell faster, but I did price them kind of high because it didn't seem like there were a lot of these listed, but they did eventually sell for an offer to buyer. Next up, the brand was Leva Toy, or Leva Toy. It was a pink polka dot under the table clip-on baby doll high chair or a booster seat. It was designed for an 18-inch doll. This I got on Facebook Marketplace. I did a big bulk buy of 18-inch doll accessories, and I had paid just 67 cents for this when I broke down my cost per item. And this item sold for $17 even on best offer. Next up was a tube of Goldwell Top Chic permanent hair color. This was brand new in the box. This sold for $10.38, and I had paid just 80 cents for this at a garage sale. Next up was a Victoria's Secret pink rose gold spell out tote bag. I got this at a garage sale. I had paid just $3 for it, and it sold on offer to buyer for $27.28. Next up was a Disney Princess pink and purple DVD player, and we had the remote control. We tested it and it worked. It did have some like discoloration or dinginess to it that we tried to clean up, but it just wouldn't come completely clean. It had probably been stored out in a garage or something like that, and just kind of like got some staining on it from having been stored outside for so long. But these are highly sought after items. Also the Disney TVs, if you ever come across those are also very popular items and sell for very high, and these will sell very, very well. if you have the remote or if you don't have the remote. And I think they'll sell for parts as well. But we tested ours and it worked. And it sold very quickly for our full asking price of $69.99. And we had gotten this when we were playing Ben's Bingo. And we had paid just $1.18 for it. And I was surprised that we were able to find both the unit and the remote control. I actually found the remote control and I was excited just to find that. And then a few minutes later, my husband said, "Oh, look what I found." And he had found the DVD player. So that was a really good find in the bins that day. Next up is a vintage 1999 Mattel Wonderful World of Disney trivia game. We had gotten this at a garage sale many months ago, like probably over a year ago. It was actually missing one of the die. We had way overpaid for this. We paid $15 for this at that garage sale, and it sold for $26.99, which was our full asking price. But we sat on this for a really long time, and we also way overpaid for it. That garage sale, actually, we made our money back many times over on several other excellent things that we had gotten at that garage sale. But we also ended up getting several things at this garage sale that we didn't really want, and it's because she kind of hustled us out at the end. Hustle might be the right word, but at the end I had made a pile of everything and I wanted her to give us a price on each individual item or a bulk price, and somehow we just ended up with a bunch of stuff we didn't want, and I'm honestly not really sure how that happened. But I had broken down our cost of everything and said that we paid $15 for this, which was way too much, and had I really stopped and thought about it at the time that we were at the end of this garage sale, I definitely would not have paid $15 for this. But it didn't really matter in the end because we made our money back on that garage sale anyway, so c'est la vie. Okay, next up is a Jones, New York women's extra large floral Angora and lamb's wool cardigan sweater. This was new with tags. This is not a brand I pick up unless it's new with tags, and also unless it has, really good fiber content like this one, and it was lamb's wool and Angora. This we got at a garage sale. We paid $1.25 for it, and it sold on offer to buyer for $26.38. We got positive feedback on that. Next up was a pair of J. Crew women's size 00 black slim ankle crop dress pants. We got these at a thrift store. We paid $5.86 for those, and they sold on offer to buyer for $24.68. Unfortunately, they were returned due to a fit issue, and we've since relisted those. Next up was a set of 2 Littlest Pet Shop mini figurines. They were called Amber Kittyson. These we got in that Facebook Marketplace buy that I did that was marketed as 18-inch doll accessories, but there were several other random little things in there like this. I paid 67 cents for these, and they sold on best offer for $8. Next up was a Christmas ornament. It was called Marquee by Waterford, and it was Christmas Endearments Gift Bear Ornament. It was new in the box. Actually, I had listed it as excellent used condition because I wasn't sure it was new. So I had listed it as with the box, excellent used condition. We had gotten this at an estate sale. We paid just $1 for it, and it sold on our full asking price for $18.99. Next up was a vintage 1981 Bucky D. James Hound Dog cassette. It was new and sealed. We got this at an estate sale. We paid 50 cents for it, and it sold for our full asking price of $14.99. We got positive feedback on that. Next up was one of the sheets of Christmas window clings. These were the National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation window clings. These sold on offer to buyer for $11.98, and we had gotten these on retail arbitrage for $1.35. Next up was a 2010 Pillow Pets Pee-wee. So this was one of the small Pillow Pets, not one of the full standard size ones. This was the stuffed brown plush monkey Pillow Pet. And we got this in the Goodwill bins the day that we went and played Ben's Bingo. We paid $1.18 for it. And this one sold for $11.98. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, we always pick up Pillow Pets if they're in good condition. They're washable, easy to wash, easy to list, and they always sell. Next up was an item that we have had in our store since literally the very first time that we went to the Goodwill bins to source. We had no idea what we were doing, no idea what to look for. We were extremely green. We were like new resellers, and we picked this up not knowing if it would be something that would sell. I would never, ever, ever pick this up now because it's heavy and not worth picking up at the Goodwill bins, and obviously I know now that it does not sell quickly. And this was a new in-package pack of Medline 18-pack adult protective underwear, and we see these all the time now at the Goodwill bins and do not pick them up. And actually we still have another package that we had picked up this same day at the Goodwill bins that still hasn't sold, but this package sold. We're so excited that it sold. I was like, oh my gosh, these finally sold. And then something funny happened with it, but my husband we have been actually, I'm going to keep it real for you guys, because we have been having a lot of issues with buyers returning items and a lot of just buyer complaints lately that some of them, you know, there may be some validity in them complaining, like those ballpoint pen marks. You know, there were ballpoint pen marks in that, so the buyer did have some validity to complain about that and return the item. But you know, then also some, like we had a panini press returned recently and the buyer claimed that it was scratched on the inside and it wasn't. You know, we've just had a lot of issues with buyers complaining about things and having returns opened and INAD claims and things like that that are just, you know, kind of not true or over exaggerated and things like that. And we have just been having some really negative buyer experiences lately, and I have just been feeling really disheartened recently about selling on eBay. But, you know, we have gone through periods like this before where we have had like bad buyer experience after bad buyer experience. And I know from past experience that we will come out of this and everything will be fine for a while. You just kind of get into little slumps like this with buyers occasionally, and you usually come out of it. So we're just waiting to come out of this hole. But anyway, this was, you know, just kind of part of that bad buyer experience. So we sold this Medline 18-pack of adult protective underwear, and my husband jokingly said, well, here's an item that can't get returned. And I said to him, don't joke, because it'll get returned, because we had so many returns opened, and I was just feeling so, you know, disheartened about all of the returns that had been opened. And wouldn't you know that the buyer actually opened a return on this and said that they had thought that they had ordered 2 packs and only gotten 1. And I mean, obviously, clearly you can see from our tile that it clearly states that it was 1 pack. And in our item description, I even clearly stated that this listing includes 1 18-pack of adult protective underwear, and that's what you're getting. So I responded to the return request with that information and said, you know, this is what you ordered. I'm so sorry there was confusion, but this is what the order was for. And a few days later, the buyer closed the return request and we didn't hear anything further. We haven't gotten any negative feedback or anything like that. So there was no issue. I mean, obviously the buyer was just confused, but it was just disappointing that we had that return request opened, and just, you know, it was just a frustrating thing to deal with in light of all the other buyer issues that we've been having to deal with lately. So I was like thinking that my husband had jinxed us and teasing with him about that. So anyway, that happened, but we didn't have any further issues from that. So next up was a Denver Hayes men's cashmere blend sweater. We had gotten this in a long time ago when I had made a bulk buy on Facebook Marketplace of some garbage bags of clothing. I had gotten like 6 garbage bags of clothing from someone for like $50, and a lot of the clothing was in good condition, but it was just, you know, not like high-end clothing. But we made so much money on that deal. It was totally worth it. We had to donate a lot of it, and we had to throw away some of it, and a few of the items we kept, but a lot of it we have resold, and we have made just tons and tons of money on it because we got it at such a low cost, and we still have a lot of it listed. But this was, you know, we're just selling it very, very, very slowly at this point. We've gotten rid of a lot of the more popular items. This one did eventually sell for us, and this sold for $18.38 on offer to buyer, and we had paid just 67 cents per item from that purchase. Next up was another great find that we got, and we got this on a Nextdoor curb alert. So we got this 100% for free. Most of the items that we got from this curb alert were space-related books, and I have a video where we show everything that we got from that, which I'll link in the description box below and above right here. But this book was also in there. This was Vintage College Trigonometry. It was a hardcover college textbook, and so we had no cost associated with this, and it sold for $14.99 on our full asking price. Next up was an item we got in the bins when we were playing Bins Bingo. This was a Tuna Forms Marvel Men's Spider-Man Scrub Top, and we paid $1.18 for that, and it sold for our full asking price of $19.99. We don't pick up a lot of scrubs, but if we see them in the bins and they're in good condition, we'll generally pick them up because a lot of times they will sell. This one sold pretty quickly. Next up was a vintage Knickerbocker plush stuffed Raggedy Ann doll. We got this from the Goodwill blue box that we purchased, and we do have a video of us unboxing that, and I'll link that in the description box below and above. It is a kind of a funny, entertaining video if you want to see us opening that. We paid $2.19 for each of the items from that box, and this one sold for $29.99, which was our full asking price. Next up was an item we got when we were playing Bins Bingo. This was a poker-sized deck of John Wayne playing cards. They were new and sealed. We paid $1.18 for these, and they sold on offer to buyer for $7.98. Next up was an item we got from a garage sale. This was a Thule Gauntlet hard-side laptop case for a MacBook Pro. We paid $5 for this at a garage sale, and it sold on best offer for $40 even. Thule is a great brand to pick up if you ever see it. Next up was a Fisher-Price Little People Nativity Set replacement cow. Like I've mentioned in previous videos, we always pick up a lot of Little People if we see them, but definitely the nativity set replacement pieces, because people will buy those come Christmas time when they pull out their nativity sets and realize what pieces they're missing. We generally sell those. This sold for $7.98 on offer to buyer, and we had paid 94 cents for that. We found that one in the bins. Next up was a Just Play PJ Masks 6-inch talking Catboy action figure. We found this in a thrift store toy bag for 18 cents, and it sold on best offer for $10 even. Next up was a 1947 local cookbook from Caddo County, Oklahoma. We got this at an estate sale for $2, and it sold for $39.99. Those local cookbooks, like from churches and Rotary clubs and things like that, are worth picking up. Those I usually find at estate sales and things like that, but I will pick those up for the right price because some of those will sell for high. They are usually not very fast sellers for us, but they will eventually sell for a high price. I mean, $39.99 was a really good price on that, and someone eventually came and picked that up for our full asking price, and we had just $2 invested in that. Next up was an item we got doing retail arbitrage. I've mentioned before we are not very good at retail arbitrage, so we don't do it very often. This is something that we did not do very well with. This was a Dream Street Kids hooded towel, and I think this one was the cat version. We had picked up several versions of this. We paid $6.92 for this on retail arbitrage, and this one sold for $17.99. I do think we still have a couple of these left. Next up, my husband had picked up a lot of Thomas and Friends board books at the thrift store. He paid in total $2.10 for those, and they sold almost immediately on offer to buyer for $15.98. Thomas and Friends is a great brand to pick up. We pick up Thomas and Friends VHS, DVDs, I guess if we would see them, board books, toys, anything. People love Thomas and Friends, and there are lots of collectors of Thomas and Friends out there. This particular day, he just happened to see a lot of Thomas and Friends board books, and he was able to get them on half off, so he picked all of those up. Next up was a Dan Fogelberg record. It was Phoenix from 1979. We got this at an estate sale. This was not a big moneymaker for us. We had paid $3.75 per record at this estate sale, and this one only sold for $9.99. So we did not make tons on this one, but it did sell fast. Next up was a Guitar Hero bundle. We had gotten the guitars at one garage sale and the game, which was Guitar Hero Metallica, at a different garage sale, and we had paid $10 in total for all of it. And it sold for our full asking price of $99.99, and that was our full asking price. Next up was a Girls Hawk & Company indigo fur trim hooded puffer jacket. We got this at a garage sale. We paid just $2 for it, and it sold on offer to buyer for $19.18. We did get positive feedback on that. Next up was a Betty Crocker's cookbook. It was one of the 5-ring binders from 1989. It was in really good condition. It looked like it had never been cooked out of. I mean, it looked like it had just been sitting on a shelf. We got that at an estate sale for $3, and it sold for our full asking price of $24.99. Next up was a Caspari Spode. It had the Spode Christmas pattern on it, and it was a bridge playing card set, and then it had like a score pad in it. It was a gift set. It was brand new, sealed, had never been used. I was gifted this from a family member to sell, so I had no cost associated with it, and it sold very quickly for $20 even on best offer. Next up was a J. Crew women's ivory pleated tiered flared skirt. We got this at a thrift store. We paid $2.16 for it, and it sold on offer to buyer for $15.98. Next up was a Chap May jointed yellow fireman action figure. We got this at a thrift store out of a toy bag. We paid just 10 cents for it, and it sold for our full asking price of $12.99. These vintage Chap May action figures will sell, so if we see them in a toy bag, we'll generally pick up the toy bag specifically for that figure. Next up was a 1993 Ashton Drake Galleries porcelain doll. It was a Native American doll, and the name of it was Little Flower. It was new in the box. We got this at a thrift store. We paid $5.41 for it, and it sold for our full asking price of $59.99. It did take quite a while to sell. Probably not an item we would pick up again because it took up so much space and took so long to sell. Next up was a pair of women's Lane Bryant high-rise legging jeans. We got these at a garage sale. We paid $1 for them, and they sold on best offer for $20 even. Next up was a 1999 Logo Bear plush stuffed gopher or chipmunk or squirrel. We couldn't tell exactly what it was. We got this from the Goodwill Blue Box, and we had paid $2.19 for that, and it sold pretty quickly for $12.74. Next up was all of the original user's guides from a Canon PowerShot S2IS camera. We had purchased this camera at a garage sale and discovered that the camera didn't work, and I think we ended up donating the camera, but we parted it out, and I think we parted out like the lens cap and the strap in one lot, and then all of the user's guides in another lot, and something else from the camera, like a cord or something like that from the camera in another lot. The only thing that we've sold so far are these user guides. We do really well with manuals and things like that from modern and vintage electronics. Users manuals sell really well for us. So this sold for $18.99, and I had marked down that we had paid $3 for this, and this sold for our asking price. Next up, I'll go over all of the collectible cards that sold from my husband's personal collection. First, I'll go over all of the high value cards that sold, which were cards valued at $10 or over. This week we sold 3 high value cards. The first was Magic the Gathering card from the beta set. It was a Vesuvon Doppelganger card, and it sold for $242.50 on auction. Next up was another Magic the Gathering card. This one was from the Antiquity set, and this card was called Hercule's Recall. This one sold for $67.99 on auction. We got positive feedback on that. Next up was another Magic the Gathering card from the Unlimited set. This one was called Soul Ring, and this one sold for $83 on auction. We got positive feedback on that. Next up, I'll go over all of the low value cards, meaning cards valued at $10 or under. This week we sold 2 low value cards, and those sold for a total dollar value of $4.68. So that wraps up all of our sales for the week of December 10th through 16th. I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let us know by hitting the thumbs up button. And if you're not already subscribed, consider hitting that subscribe button with the notification bells turned on. And stay tuned for our next video that's going to pop up right down here. Thanks so much for watching, and we will catch you on the flip side.